The days of dragging yourself off to a conference room for a training seminar are over. At least that's the hope of my next guest. Eric Korb founded Comlinks.com in 1998. The company, which is headquartered in North Plainfield, markets a specialized process called webinars, which incorporates web-based teleconferencing, interactive presentations, and polling right at your PC. Here is Eric to tell us about webinars.
Hi, John.
Nice to have you here with us. Tell me a little bit more about webinars. Is this something that people can sign on to get training right at their station, or is it something that your company comes in and arranges, kind of like a networked chat room?
Good question. What we facilitate is the ability for our customers to send out invitations to their remote contacts throughout the world. And they are responsible for sending out the initial invitation, and then they come to our website where they register for an event, and they have a key password that lets them get access to that. So they're secure and they're private, so these meetings are not necessarily broadcasted to everyone. So what we do is we have the infrastructure to support the registration and all the logistics that make the event come off.
So an application might be a company who wants customers to hear about a new product.
Exactly. One of our customers, SDRC, which is a CAD/CAM software manufacturer, had a challenge last summer where they were ready to unveil a new product. And especially in the computer industry, things are under wraps for a long time, and when they're ready to announce things, it's always the reseller or the salesperson who's the last person to hear about it. So what we proposed was, instead of them going around the country to 6 cities and spending over $25,000 doing that over 2 weeks and taking 3 people out of the office, we did 6 webinars over the course of 3 days. We used one person who presented from his home in his pajamas, if you will. And exactly. And we were able to train over 135 resellers and save the company close to $12,000 in doing that.
Wow. Tell me how the technology works in a simpler way. You use teleconferencing, so you do have voice.
That's correct.
And you do have, obviously, access to the web. And what does the polling do? How does that work?
Well, the polling, I think, is the most important ingredient, because what you're doing in this environment is you're speaking without eyes. You really can't see the audience. So in order to get a reaction out of them, you need to present polls or questions to them. And polls could be simply, are all of you with me? Or do you disagree with me? Or do you understand the topic? And then you can get more specific types of polling questions, which would be a question that on the topic of what they're discussing, to see if they are qualifying or understanding the information. So we feel that the polling is probably the most important piece of the equation, because the presenter can then move in the direction of giving more information to the people out in the field.
So questions may be asked of people participating in the webinar. They respond.
That's correct.
And you know almost immediately what the balance of responses are.
Right, which is great, because in a live seminar where you are sitting in an audience, you typically have hands raised, and then you have to tally that up. Because we're computer-based, everything is stored into a database, and we calculate the results immediately and present that right back to the presenter, so he sees exactly the feedback that he's trying to get.
Does the webinar application have an application to Salesforce, for instance?
Oh, absolutely. In the case of the SDRC, their resellers are their extended Salesforce.
Oh, I see.
We also have customers who are traditionally use telephone conferencing as a way of communicating with their Salesforce, and frankly, you can use our system to do that. But by adding a graphical nature, as we all know, picture's worth 1,000 words, the comprehension is a lot greater. We're finding a 53% increase in comprehension by using our systems as opposed to a typical telephone call.
A 53% increase in comprehension.
Right. Yeah, the reason for that is that a lot of us are taken into seminars and we're stuck there for 6 to 8 hours.
Right.
And I don't remember ever sitting in a classroom through college where I sat for 6 to 8 hours. We can't learn that way. We're not trained to learn that way. And what we do is we take our webinars and we break them up into segments of 50 minutes or less. And by doing it that way, the user can comprehend the material a lot more, and because he has to study the screen, he listens more attentively. So we find that the increase in attention rate is phenomenal.
Does webinars have an application to small companies as well as large, or what's your marketing plan in this regard?
Well, the neat thing about the Internet is the leveling factor for all companies. You can be as small as 2 people and have an Internet site and make yourself look like you're IBM. So we feel that our services are applicable to all size businesses. Matter of fact, it enhances their competitiveness because a small company who it may be cost prohibitive for them to bring their sales force in on a regular scheduled basis can now communicate daily or weekly or monthly with these people, where before it was cost prohibitive for them to do so.
Your company gets paid a fee, I guess, for arranging this. Do you get paid on a retainer basis, or do you get kind of like a one-time setup and do the webinar fee?
Well, what we have is what we call a subscription series. And most of our larger customers purchase a series of tokens, if you will. So like you're going through the subway, you have a credit card that goes through and use it so many times. So some of our larger customers would buy 1,000 sessions at a time, and they may hold weekly meetings of 100 at a time, and they basically click through those sessions as they go along. And then once the balance goes to 0, then they can up themselves back and recharge the system again.
Yeah,
so it's very simple. Well, along with the other things that we do is we provide logistics and training on how to present in this environment. We have courses that we use just for our own presenters, right, to learn how to present without eyes. And there's a talent that, it's different in this medium where you have video.
Right.
And in the Internet space, you really have to use different techniques than you would in a live video or in a live seminar.
Yeah. We've got a half a minute left. Is this a way for people to get involved in the e-commerce?
Absolutely. One of the great things is because we have a connection to the Internet, at the end of any webinar, a person can press a link right to, for example, Amazon.com and buy a book.
There you go.
So
we've got to leave it there, Eric. But we want to get your website and phone number up on the full screen for people. www.comlinks.com and 877-932-4627.